Welcome to Gospel Today. We continue our sharing on wisdom of Jesus. Around these 2 or 3 days to come, we fall back on John's Gospel, chapter 6. And today, in a special way, we reflect on verses 35 to 40. John's chapter 6 dwells on 2 or 3 significant themes. And one of the themes is bread and how life is connected to bread. Yes, life is sustained by nourishment. All kinds of nourishment, but much more the food that symbolizes the people throughout the world is bread. In Indian context, we speak of chapati or roti. Yes, but we have other ingredients along with that. So bread symbolizes sustenance of life, nourishment of life. Today, Jesus boldly accepts one of his self-identifying statement. I am the bread of life. I am the bread of life. What a beautiful acknowledgement of one's self-knowledge. Jesus knows and knew who he is and who he was. And he had to communicate this complex understanding of himself as the bread of life to his audience. And that is the central message John wants to communicate through chapter 6. Jesus also identifies with other self-identifying statements like I am the truth, I am the path, Marga, I am the Satya. Today, Jesus is saying, I am the Bhojana. I am the food. My dear friends, the wisdom behind it is that all of us, by the fact we are born and brought up in this existential world, we are sustaining force for oneself and for one another. We have in us that ability to nourish the other, to bring up the other, to see that others are really taken care of. Feeding is one such gesture of sharing oneself with one another. My dear friends, this particular saying of Jesus through John's Gospel has a far-reaching consequences in his life. He tremendously believed himself to be a nourishing person to all whom he met with. And that is why he was not hesitant to acknowledge that he is the bread of life. Moreover, in his self-identifying statement, we also see he was dealing with complex hierarchical will of the Father and will of himself as an individual and the will of the people who were interacting with him. And he was fully aware of his subsidiarity with God. He was subsidiary to God and God's will. In his case, God represented the Abba. So while he was manifesting himself in various ways, trying to communicate who he was, one of the things he had to communicate was, I am not doing it on my own. I am listening to the God who sent me into this world. I am obeying his commands. So whoever accepted Jesus as the bread of life are also called to share that perspective of sharing or listening and obeying the hierarchical value of God within us and around us. It is not an oppressive societal structure. It is an inner ability to read into ourselves. Are they mere self talk? Or do I have a connection, a transcendental connection, a horizontal connection with the people, with God, and with nature? That is the wisdom we need to draw from today's conversation of Jesus. We cannot be useful to the others. We cannot be leading others without having this depth dimension as well as the dimension of transcendence. Amen.